Over the years, gaming has evolved, and at the moment, there are tons of engines you can choose from if you'd ever like to start your game dev career. In this video, I'm going to give you a step-by-step guide detailing how you can get started right now. Also explain what I've learned to date, and why I feel that C++ or any other programming language is overrated in regards to prerequisites needed to become a game dev. Because one thing I will say is that in this day and age, game development is so much more than writing code, and you're either gonna like this video or dislike it. So I'd appreciate it if you'd express that below by hitting whichever you prefer. There are a lot of programming languages available to learn, some really good for writing game code, and others are better for a specific program design. It all depends on what you want to do. But seeing all of this code on the screen can literally intimidate 95% of people who see it. Like when you're watching a devlog where people actually show themselves writing code and illustrating it through gameplay real time. This can really discourage someone who is interested in game development. Now hold up, I'm not blaming programming languages for that, because truth be told, 95% of individuals will never even start the process of becoming a game dev, let alone do everything it takes to actually see a project to its completion, whether you know code or not. But let me give you some context. C++ is overrated in a way that denotes exclusivity, meaning that this indirectly sends a message to those ignorant to programming that they cannot be a game developer, when in fact, I say it again, game development is so much more than writing code. So my goal for this video is to offer some transparency to those who feel like they can't get into this industry or feel intimidated. That being said, after what I tell you, the only thing that could possibly stop you from doing what you love is within your control, and that is yourself. The willingness or unwillingness to want to pursue your dreams. Let me first start out with how I began so you can get some perspective. Then I'll get into how you can do it, step by step. Also, mistakes to avoid that can give you a head start. A while ago, a friend of mine and a fellow content creator once asked me, "What's your end game?" I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, do you want to just make videos for YouTube all your life? What's your end game?" I said to him, "Oh, okay. I would like to just be able to have a residual income so that I can do whatever I want while making money." So he eventually brought up the idea of becoming a game developer. I thought to myself, how does one even get into something like that? But the idea was really intriguing to me, and I immediately got interested. So, I started to take that journey. And so I had to think about, where do I even begin? Well, within this past decade, or even longer than that, the Unreal Engine has been kind enough to open their doors to anyone ambitious enough to take a chance making games, films, or anything else the engine will allow you to do. But in order to gain access, you must first procure a license. To accept the EULA for Unreal Engine, first head over to epicgames.com and click on Unreal Engine. And if you scroll down, eventually you'll see download the Epic Games Launcher to get started now. You'll then need to select the type of license that would best suit your needs. For the creator's license, the EULA will appear once you've clicked on the download now. And that's just terms of service, the rights and obligations for using Unreal Engine. Because there are two types of licenses you can get. They're both free and great for learning purposes, but there is only one that's specifically for game development. It's free to use, as I said, but below that statement says that they get 5% royalties of your earnings upon becoming successful. Successful meaning you blow up and make a ton of money. You can read more about all that in the EULA agreement. So that's how you get started. The first step of becoming an official game developer. Now you have access to what these AAA companies use to create their games. It's that simple to get a license, but a long journey awaits, and there's so much to learn, but the sky's the limit. Once you have this, there's so many resources available to you in order to get started. The Unreal Marketplace offers thousands of assets provided by Epic Games and the community that you can use in your project and learn from. Many of them are free. They're characters, props, environments, materials, animations, and more. Here's just a few examples. Paragon Sparrow. Sparrow is one of a number of characters from Paragon that are available for you to use in your projects. The asset includes the character model, animations, animation blueprints, skins, and effects. You can also use the animation starter pack. This contains 62 animations that can be used with a classic mannequin as well as upcoming marketplace releases. This animation set is a fantastic resource for prototyping your next project. You can explore all of this and more at the Unreal Marketplace. That's like your hub where all of the assets you download get stored in a library, your library. It's where you can access all the different versions of Unreal. even Unreal Engine 5. This is where I got my first glimpse of the Unreal Engine, and when jumping into it at first, it was intimidating. I gotta be honest. Like a foreign language, honestly, it was overwhelming. But that's normal, and it's usually how most things are when first starting out. But what's the next step after you do all of this, right? Now, what I would suggest is just get familiar with the engine. Start learning the interface, how to navigate through so that you can become comfortable with it. There are so many tutorials on YouTube that could just help you out with that, because now you're in. You have full access to whatever you like. You've entered a whole new world, and you may think to yourself, man, where do I begin? I'll tell you what I did. Before I even got familiar with the Unreal Engine or did anything regarding 3D modeling for assets, before I did anything like that, I sat down and I thought to myself, what game do I want to make? And your game can be anything. That's subject to your imagination. Most people will tell you to start small, which is great advice. But I believe this. It's subject to your personal ambition. And here's a good time to address the whole C++ is overrated thing. I'll say this for the third and final time. Game development is so much more than writing code, but you need code in order to make games. So how do you do it, right? Well, the Unreal Engine already does so much work for you by literally taking a piece of code and translating it into a language you understand. With the implementation of blueprints, they're actually lines of code written in phrases and words, so you can understand exactly what program you're writing. You just need to understand and get familiar with how they work. But aside from this, when it comes down to making a game, each individual could have a range of skills and talents they bring to the table in regards to the game dev world. I believe this has a huge impact on what it is you can accomplish with your project. Some already have an understanding of programming, others may come from an art background, and the majority are brand new with no experience, like I was. So I'll explain it from that point of view. And I will tell you that it helped me so much just theory crafting everything I wanted to be in my game so that I'd have a clear vision going into development. I thought of what type of game I wanted, created concept art, wrote the story, mission structure, abilities, and how they would work. And mind you, at this point, I had no idea how I'd implement all of it. I didn't know anything about the Unreal Engine, but doing this was great preparation. It really set things in motion because when you're learning the Unreal Engine, there's so many layers of processes you need to understand and internalize, from animation all the way to coding. So, if your overall project is organized, already written down and conceptualized, it's good to not have to think about all of that on top of learning what you need to know. And some of what you write down is not going to end up the way you originally intended it to be once you start development. But that's okay, because all that can be altered based on learning the engine and tweaking it based on what you know. So I had a grand vision for my game, and still do. A lot of motivation needs to come from yourself and the passion of your project. You have to literally ask yourself if this is what you really want to do, because if you don't commit, it won't work. And what I did may be unconventional. I didn't actually start in the Unreal Engine. Reason why is that I wanted to make my own assets. When writing my game, these designs are my own. So I don't think I would have found anything like them in the Unreal Marketplace. I could have also used Fiverr and paid someone to make them, but again, here's where I said this part depends on your personal ambition. I wanted to learn as much as I could in order to be a full-fledged game dev. I took the necessary steps to do so by first learning 3D modeling and rigging with Blender, which is free. So I went on YouTube for tutorials on that. Grant Abbott has a great series, but at this point, I needed some more help. After all, I am solo, so I needed a resource that would help me to have a full-fledged studio for game development specifically. There's a program called Reallusion, which you can research yourself. I'll have the links for both of these in the description. And after months of learning how to use these programs, definitely still learning, then figuring out the processes of importing and exporting between programs, only after that is when I felt ready to go into Unreal Engine. And that's what I did. It's not what you have to do, because my method is way more stressful and difficult. But as I said, it's all about your personal ambition and what you're willing to do. At the end of the day, most people don't have the resources, time, or money to do all of that. So my advice is to just do it the traditional way. Learn the basics of the Unreal Engine. Search for free assets on the marketplace that you can use, because there are tons of assets. And really just try to internalize the learning experience from a beginner's perspective. The Unreal Engine pretty much has everything you need to make a game. The important thing is that you're in. You've procured a license, and have full access to what AAA game companies use to produce their games. So with that in mind, take your time and learn as best as you can. If you stay consistent, then you will no doubt get where you want to be. That's the best advice I can give you based on what I know. So I hope this helps you, and if it did, all I ask is that you like the video and subscribe to my channel for all things game dev. If you want more details about my personal journey, certain obstacles I've overcome, and other game developers I've taken advice from, subscribe to my channel so that you can check those videos out. Thanks for listening, and good luck to you. Peace.